Tutorial 6.1 will walk us through grouping of worksheets. The reason that we want to group worksheets together is that if we have the same format of worksheets, we can add effects onto all of these worksheets by working on just one. So the changes could include editing data on a particular cell, changing formula, and also applying any sort of formatting, deleting rows, deleting columns, or adding rows, adding to columns, setting page layout, applying view as well as print would all work together as one group instead of going through each worksheet. You can group these worksheets together pretty dynamically. When you need to group them, you can group them. When you're finished, you can click on another worksheet. So we'll walk you through all that and using examples starting on Tutorial 6.1 EX330 grouping worksheets. The worksheet, the Excel spreadsheet that you have is the Kansas. We will change this by saving it to another name. As you can see, I have saved the worksheet as Columbia, and the first worksheet is the documentation, so you just write down your own name and today's date as you wish to modify these to your own name as well as your date. So we will look at the first worksheet, which is quarter one. You can see that quarter one has the January, February, March data. The worksheet following that is quarter two, and if you can have a quick look at quarter two, it has the next 3 months. Quarter three follows, as well as quarter four. And as I go through each of these quarter, you can see the formats and the position of the cells are very identical. They're similar because they're identical. The headings, the position that the cells are laid out are the same. And this is vital because you want to keep the style similar and you want to keep the position of the cells the same, because if you are changing or adding formula, you probably want to count on similar positioning in other worksheets as you work through. So that hopefully will become more obvious as we work through this. So we are now going to demonstrate how to group the adjacent worksheets together. So if you can watch the mouse, right now we are at quarter one. If I want to group together quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, and quarter four, I can simply click on the first quarter, and then skipping the middle two, I go to quarter four. But before I click on quarter four, I will hold down my shift key and then I click on quarter four. You can see that all 4 quarters are selected. And you can deselect by clicking on the documentation, which is not in the group. So if you click on documentation, in that case, it will deselect the entire group. So if I want to select, say, quarter one and quarter three, and these two worksheets are not adjacent, so they are called non-adjacent worksheets. What I would do is I select the first one, and then I will hold down not the shift key but the control key, and then click on the second one or the third one, whatever you want. And on clicking on select simply means that you click on it once while you hold down the control key. So while holding down control key, you can select non-adjacent worksheets. In this case, I have selected quarter one and quarter three, but I did not select quarter two. To deselect group, again, you click on something else that is not in the group, or you can right click on a sheet that is in the group and just click on ungroup sheet like this, and that will delete your group sort of. You can pick groups as you go. Whenever you wish to apply changes across all the worksheets, you should group them together for convenience. One thing you do need to remember, however, is that whatever changes you implement in one worksheet, while they're in the group, will indeed be applied to all of the other worksheets. So you want to be careful about that. Okay, so let's look at what the textbook wants us to do. So now we want to go to EX331, and the bottom is to group the quarterly worksheet. So it asks you to click on quarter 1, and then hold on the shift key, click on quarter 4. I have already explained that this will put all the adjacent, meaning right next to each other, all the adjacent worksheets together. And once you click on the adjacent sheet, you can release the shift key, and that will then make sure that all of the worksheets are selected. So now we're going to look at page EX332. You want to look at the other quarter. So right now quarter 1 is highlighted. You can go to quarter 2, and that becomes the active worksheet. You can go to quarter 3 and 4, and you can notice that below all these grouped worksheets you can see a green bar across them. You can also on the top notice that the bracket group is showing. That means that it is another way to tell you you are working on a group as opposed to individual worksheets. So in this case, we now want to make quarter 4 an active worksheet, and then we will enter some formulas and headings and demonstrate that whatever changes we make on quarter 4 will then propagate towards the other worksheets in the group. So we are now on EX333. We want to select the cell number B11 right here, and I want to put in the formula for the totaling of the data, and we want to then see the effect that it will have in other worksheets. So on the Home tab, so if I go to the Home tab, there is an editing group, which is right here, and there is an Autosum button, which is this one. So if you want to then click on the Autosum button, and then in this case it's already positioned on B11, so it will look at what is above it, below it, and so on, and then it will guess that you want to sum up these 5 numbers together. So it's already giving you the option. So all we have to do then is press the enter key, which I'm doing right now, and the formula sum bracket B6 column B10 is now entered into the cell, and that is the formula we want to use for the cell. And you can see that the total is now 1194. We want to copy the formula across to C1 and C11 and D11. You can see that there is a little square on the bottom right hand corner of the active cell, and if you carefully click on that and then drag it across the other 2 cells, the formula will automatically be copied over. So this is how you will copy a formula over to other cells. And the next instruction is that in cell E6 we want to enter a formula with a sum function that will total up all the data for October, November, and December together. So the instruction is that we want to enter the equal sum bracket B6 column D6 and then end bracket. So we could have used the Autosum like we did before, but this is how you would do it manually. So by doing that, I have now the total for paper across October, November, December, which is 1126. Again, you can see the square on the bottom right corner. You will drag that and copy it all the way down to E11 and then release that will automatically give you the total across the row, as well as adding this across these totals, which means that this is everything in all 3 months. So this gives you the number 3,816, which matches what the textbook says. So in column A11, you want to type in totals, and then in column E5, you want to type in totals. And then we want to select B11 right here. B11 here. The formula is sum B6, B10, and that you can see is the formula that we have entered before through the auto summary. What we want to achieve is by working on one single worksheet, which is quarter 4, we want to have this propagated into other worksheets. And have we done so? Let's take a look. And we'll go to quarter 3. And you can see that even though we haven't worked on quarter 3 before, the total is now entered. So are all the fields that we have manipulated in quarter 4. They are all here. So we can now see also that the formula that we enter in quarter 4 is here. And we'll look at quarter 2. You can see that the formula that we enter is here. And we can go to quarter 1. You can see that formula is entered here. So that demonstrated that once you group together worksheets, the changes you enter in one worksheet will be propagated towards other. So now we are at EX334. We want to now look at the what we have to do next. So we are now active on quarter 1. Quarter 1 is our active worksheet. We want to select A1, which is right here, and we want to change this font to something called the Lucinda console. So we want to find the Lucinda console, and it will start with CA, LUCIAD, and we can see that it's right here. And we want to make it a bold, so you click on bold. And then we want to change the color to the olive green accent 3, darker 25. So it will be, let's see if this is it. So if you highlight it, it will pop up the legend. So you can see that that would be it. So you click on that. And we want to go to the next one, which is increasing the indent of A11. So A11 is here, and we want to increase the indent by 1. So we just click this indent once, and that was going to move it to the right hand side. And then we want to select the non-adjacent range A2 to A3. The next one is going to be A6 to A11. So instead of using Shift, which is for adjacent, we want to use Control key for non-adjacent. So I want to highlight A to A3 first, and then I want to hold down the Control key, and then click on A6 all the way to A11. And then the next one I want to highlight is B5 to E5. So we want to hold on the key, don't let it go, and then highlight these cells that are non-adjacent. So we want to then bold them, and that's what we need to do for these. So we will unclick, deselect by clicking on another cell. The next instruction is that we want to merge and center the range A1 to E1. So we want to first highlight the cell A1 to E1, and then just click on merge and center. And then the cell A2 to E2 should also be merge and center. In the range B5 to E5, we want to center the text. So we'll find out B5 to E5. We just have to click on the center button. And in the range of B6 to E11, so we'll go all across here. we want to apply comma style number format with no decimal places. So we want to first use a comma style right here. But you can see that the result has 2 decimal places. We don't want that. So we want to click on this icon, which will then truncate the decimal places, but it will retain the comma. So that's how we will then achieve what the objective is. And then on top of EX335, step 7, in the range of B5 to E5, we want to add a bottom border. So add a bottom border, and we also want to do that for B10 to E10. So we'll highlight those cells and then click on the bottom border. Then we'll go to step 9 on EX335. All it wants us to do is to check if the changes have been made. So we'll go to quarter 2 now, and those formatting changes have in fact been applied. Quarter 3, quarter 4, and then the textbook asks us to come back to quarter 1. So this is another indication that we will have these changes applied to all the quarters. So now we want to just ungroup these 4 worksheets, and it is really easy because you just need to click on a worksheet that is not in the group. In this case, documentation was never put in the same group, so we just click on documentation. You can see that the other worksheets have also not been grouped now. The other possibility is just right click and click on ungroup. And the other indication is that the bracket group is no longer showing up in the header. So that will give us the idea that it is not in the group. We are now proceeding to EX337. We want to increase the worksheet by 1. We want to copy a particular worksheet. So to copy the worksheet, it is easier than creating one from fresh. So we want to copy quarter 1 worksheet and create something called summary worksheet. So we will click on quarter 1 worksheet tab and then press and hold the control key. And I want to drag this all the way to the front of the documentations sheet. So it's the first one. And then all I want to do then is to release the mouse button and then release the control key. So again, the sequence is release the mouse button and then release the control key. Now we have a copy called quarter 1 bracket 2, and we want to rename it. So there are 2 ways to rename it. You can right click this and then just click on rename, or more simply you can just double click this on the name and just type it right in. So I will call it summary, and the textbook wants us to drag the summary back to the right of documentation. So all I have to do is just drag and drop, and now it is positioned right after documentations. So we want to make sure the summary sheet is the active sheet, and then in A3, instead of quarter 1, we want to enter 2016. In the A1, we want to modify this a little bit, and we want to say Columbia total, and that will mean that this is not a quarterly worksheet, but instead it is a yearly worksheet. And then we want to delete the information in B6 all the way to E10. So we want to delete all the information, so you just have to highlight and just hit the delete key, and that will take out the data. And because the data is taken out, there is no more sum, so all the bottom field would disappear as well. You can see that there's something there. There's indication there is still a formula there. And then we want to insert a new column C. So I'll position on column C and then right click and then press insert, and that will give us a new column. And then in the range B5 to E5, we want to now enter quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, and then we then want to copy the formula in B11. So I find that little bottom right square, I click on that and I drag it over, so that will give us the formula that we want. So this is where we will end up at the bottom of E334. The next few items deals with referencing cells and ranges in other worksheets. So I'm sitting in summary, for example, or I can be sitting in quarter 1, but there are times when I may want to refer to quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 from an entirely different worksheet. So we can do that by using the notation equal sheet name, exclamation, and then cell range. Now the sheet name can have no quotation if the name of a worksheet has no space, like summary or documentation. If you have a worksheet with the name quarter space 1, you will need to use a single quotation around the worksheet name. So that will indicate that it has a space. Again, if you don't have a space in the worksheet name, then you don't need to use a single quotation. So we'll use some examples to demonstrate what that will give us. So at the bottom of EX339, we want to click on quarter 1 sheet tab. So this is our active sheet. And then press and hold shift key and then click on quarter 4. That will, as you will know now, give us a group of 4 worksheets. We will select A4, and then we will then put a formula. So this is a formula we want to use to show the display here. So we'll click on, we'll type equal sign, and then we'll click on the summary sheet. So that is another sheet, and then click the cell A3. So A3 is here. So now you can see that the formula is now equal summary exclamation mark A3. And if we are now typing the enter button, then it will give us the result. But the textbook is asking us to go to the formula bar and click on the enter button this way. So the check mark is the enter button, so we'll click on the check mark. So it will bring us back to quarter 1, which is where we started, and that will give us equal summary, which is the worksheet name summary, and then exclamation mark, and then the cell we click on, which is A3. Now you can enter this formula by hand. You don't need to click on the other worksheets, but you can see that clicking on other worksheets is probably easier, and it is less prone to making mistakes. So you can use either one. You can also see that because we have grouped the 4 worksheets together, if I go to quarter 2, you can see that the formula is also entered there. Quarter 3, formula is entered there, and in quarter 4. So now we want to go back to the summary worksheet, and by doing so, the group has been unselected. So none of these are in the group now. In cell A3, we want to change the wording a little bit. We want to say, instead of just 2016, we want to say fiscal year 2016. And then by changing this, you can see that because quarter 1 was referring to this cell A3, and because the cell A3 in summary worksheet has changed, the quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 cell has been updated. So this is exactly what we want, which is great. So that brings us to the beginning of EX341. In the summary worksheet, select B6. So right here, this summary worksheet never had the number before. So we want to now demonstrate how to refer to other worksheets that does have a space. So quarter space 1, for example, will need a different type of reference. So we will enter equal first, and then click on the quarter 1 tab, and then click on E6. So this is a total for the paper in quarter 1. And then going back to the formula bar and click on the enter button. So this will bring the quarter 1 total to here, which is in the summary worksheet, and you can see that now there's 1,311 appearing on cell B6, and we want to now repeat that. So this one in quarter 2 is going to be done by entering the equal sign and then clicking on quarter 2, and then go to the paper total right here and then click on the enter. Quarter 3, you put equal sign, click on quarter 3, and then enter, just click on the total here and then say OK. In quarter 4, equal sign, click on quarter 4 and click on the E6 for quarter 4 and click on enter. So that will give us the information from the 4 different worksheets, and we can now see this, refer to it. You can also enter this by hand. Just have to remember that you have to use a single quote because quarter 4 does have a space in the name. So you will see now 1311, 1230, 914, and 1126 in your spreadsheet. So we want to select this range because this Excel, given the information here, is able to now extrapolate or guess at what you want to do. So we want to copy the formula here to populate the fields here instead of doing it all again. So look at the bottom right hand corner, there's a little square there. So drag that down to fill the space, and you will see a formatting button. So sorry, the autofill button. So you click on that and you just say fill without formatting as the textbook asks you to do. So that will then make sure that it is copied over without formatting. So now we want to click on cell B to deselect the range. You can see that now we have the information copied from all the worksheets, and it has now given us a total as well because that was a formula that was already there. We want to have a way to refer not only to one single worksheet but multiple worksheets at the same time. And in Excel that's called a 3D reference. The 3D reference gives you the ability to not only just refer to one single worksheet but multiple worksheets. So we can enter, for example, in this case, a single quote, quota space 1, and then column, quarter space 4, and then single quotation. That is going to refer to quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 worksheets altogether. And we need that single quotation mark because this worksheet has a space in their name. And then we will use exclamation at the end of that reference, which is a 3D reference, and then add the cells and columns that we wish. So let's use the walkthrough starting in EX343 to look at how 3D reference works. We want to go to the summary worksheet, so that should be the active worksheet. And at the cell F6, we want to start with equal sum left bracket. We want to then group the worksheets together. So we'll click on quarter 1 first, and then hold down the shift key and click on quarter 4, and then make sure that we on quarter 1, which is active, just click on E6, and that's going to give us the 3D reference. So you can see the formula: sum bracket single quote quarter 1 column quarters 4 and bracket exclamation E6, and then we want to just press the enter key. So that is going to give us on the summary worksheet a total of the E6 cell, but across quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. So this particular reference is a 3D referencing. And you can see that this drags out what we want. And we want to repeat this, and that's going to be in EX345. So we want to now calculate the total glass collected. So in the summary worksheet again, click on the cell F7, type equal sum left bracket, click on the quarter 1 spreadsheet, press and hold the shift key, click on the quarter 4 spreadsheet, and release the shift key. And in quarter 1, which is the active, click on the E7, which is for glass, and you can see that the formula has entered that. So all we want to do then is click on the enter button, and that will give us the glass. So at this point, you can see we're doing the same thing, and we can use the Autofill feature in Excel instead of going through the rest of the total. So go and highlight F7 in the summary worksheet, and you can see that on the bottom right hand corner there is a square. Drag that square downwards to fill the entire range of B8 to F8 to F10, and then on the autofill option just say fill without formatting, and that will give us the information without any format, and then we can click on B6 in order to deselect the range. So now we have the total of paper from all 4 quarters, glass from all 4 quarters, etc., etc. So this is exactly what we want, and that is how we will use the 3D referencing. Now, if I have already done this and I found out there's a mistake in one of the information pieces, I can easily change the information in the individual worksheets, and then the update will automatically appear. So at the bottom of EX346, they demonstrate this. So we want to go to quarter 3, and in quarter 3, the summary of metal you can see is 1,206. But we found that there was a problem because the information was entered incorrectly. Instead of, say, 475 tons in September, we actually collected 525. So we'll enter 525, and that has changed the total to 1,256. And if that is changed, then we will expect this will be reflected in summary. So we'll go back to summary, and in fact, yes, it has been updated because the individual worksheet was updated. So we can see that this has updated our summary. In EX347, we will look at how to print, and the trick is to print all of the worksheets together so we don't have to go individually. So in EX347, it asks us to group summary and then quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 together, and all we have to do then is to click on that and then hold on the shift key and click on the last one. So we have picked the last to pick all 5 of the worksheets. So we click on the page layout button right here, and we can see a dialog box launcher on the ribbon in the page setup. So the dialog box launcher will then pop up, and you can see that there is possibility like margin. So we want to horizontally center the pages. So if you click on this, it will center the pages. And then we want to click on header footer under the printing. So, and then click on the custom header. So the textbook asks you in the center selection, we want to insert sheet name. and the sheet name is this button right here. You can see it is the insert sheet name. So I will click on that and then click on OK. So on the custom footer button, there are a few options. The textbook wants you to type in your name, so you put in your name on the left section. And on the right hand section, you want to insert date. So you can use this button right here with the 7 shown. So that will be what you want to do. And then click on OK, and then OK. So when you want to print, and we'll look at the print possibility. When you want to print, you can see that the footer and the header is now showing, and you can see that the automatic sheet name on the top will reflect what the name of sheets is, and then you can have the insertion of what you want to do here, and by going back and forth you can see how these sheets will look like before you even print them, which is really cool. And that brings us to the end of tutorial 6.1.